All right, guys, the Ryan and Jacob show is back after an exciting week two for the week two recap. Core Water did not hit us up last week with a sponsorship, so I'm switching teams. We're going Pure Leaf now. I'm sure they'll be hitting us up soon for a nice little package deal. So let's get into week two here, where I just dropped an absolute dookie on Chris this week. A 150 bomb with comeback player of the year, future comeback player of the year, Cam Newton leading the way with 34. Miles Sanders coming back from an injury and didn't look like he lost a single step. And then to cap it off, I got the number one wide receiver in fantasy right now, Calvin Ridley. The deals are just flooding in for him. It's a hot market.
All right, and then we got Chris's team, who had the injury bug. We had Saquon go down first quarter. Is that right? First or second quarter?
Second quarter, I believe, yeah.
Second quarter. And then Raheem Mostert did an 85-yard run, 80-yard run to start the game, and then got hurt in the first or second quarter of that game. And that was the story. Even though Raheem Mostert got 17.7, he could have got probably 25, 30, which really wouldn't have helped Chris out at all, just because of, like you said, you lost by 53.
Took an absolute dookie on him.
And, I mean, not to try to hype you up as much as you already hyped up, but the Eagles D did -1 there.
Yeah, I lost a potential point that I could have had towards this insane score.
And then Michael Gallup didn't even do anything. 6.8. I think he had 2 catches for like 53 yards or something, or 58 yards with the 6.8. So he had 2 catches. I know he had 2 catches. So like 2 of your people didn't do that well. Julian Edelman just had like 50 catches, I think, that game, but he did very well. Chris' team is kind of hurting with the injuries. I know he just picked up Mike Davis, which was a good find. I think he was first in the waiver wire. Lamar Jackson, actually, I don't know if you would agree with me on this, Ryan, but Lamar Jackson, 17.56, I think that's a dud for him. I think that is not a great week for Lamar Jackson.
That's a tough score. That's a lot lower than most of the scores we were seeing last year. And, hopefully this is just a rare sighting for a season. But I don't know, man. He has not been flashing like he flashed last year. I'll say that.
Yeah, and I think Lamar Jackson's lowest score last year was about the 17, but he had like over 25 the rest of the way. Just hopefully Chris' teams bounces back this week. Mike Evans had a great performance without Chris Godwin, but Chris Godwin's coming back this week. According to ESPN, he passed the concussion protocol. So just hopefully a big bounce back week for Chris, and see how Ryan does, and to he repeats that or not.
We're looking to keep it up. Sorry, Chris, but these toads had to do that to you.
So then we'll go to Johnny and Jimmy. And Jimmy's team, I think me and you both called it last week. He was due for a bounce back week because he had like 30 points last week or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
And he actually lost points. I don't know what he was thinking without playing James Conner. I don't know if he thought he was hurt, but James Conner had 20 points, 19.1, and then Benny Snell. Is that negative 1.4?
That is a minus 1.4.
Wow, so he had a fumble, I'm sure. I mean, just Dak. If anyone watched that Falcons-Cowboys game, what a game. Cowboys just killed that after like the second half, or in the second half. It was just a great game to watch. They snuck that in. I still can't believe it. I don't even know how to put that game into words. I've never seen a game like that. But Dak did his thing. Tyreek did his thing. DJ Moore looked pretty good. Darren Waller, I was watching that Monday night game. That's all they threw it to. Henry Ruggs got like 2 catches, maybe I think even 1 catch. Hunter Renfrow had like 3 catches. It was all the Darren Waller show. And Josh Jacobs had probably a couple catches and a couple runs, but it was just all Darren Waller that game. So Jimmy had some high scores. Derrick Henry didn't even put up 10 points. That's shocking. Derrick Henry has not looked good this year. I mean, 2 probably single digits. I don't know if you want to click on his name. I don't know what he got week 1, but I know he didn't tear the cover off the ball.
14.6.
Okay, so not too bad. I thought he probably got a little lower than that, but still no touchdowns this year. No touchdowns
Nope.
this year. So Jimmy's gonna want a Derrick Henry bounce back game this week. But yeah, Jimmy did his thing this week.
Yeah, a great score. And then speaking of Derrick Henry, playing against the guy who had him last year, Johnny over here, who not a terrible week, but an off week I think for Johnny. Johnny had a great week last week, so this score is looking a little low compared to that. But it's still a modest score. David Johnson didn't do nearly what he did his first game back. Josh Jacobs had a pretty decent game, but he didn't find the end zone and kind of left him hanging on points. Kyler is snapping this year. Everybody, I think it was pretty obvious. Most people saw it coming that Kyler was going to have a year this year, and he's definitely not disappointed so far. I do know that Johnny's pretty upset about the AJ Green pick, I think, at this point. And I think I would be too. But hopefully Johnny can bounce back from this. He does have a good team, and he did have Chris Godwin out, so could have just been a little speed bump along the road, but a good week by Jimmy. All right, well, we'll move on to your game over here, which looked like it was going to be a Rudy win for a while, and then Alvin Kamara played. So here we are. So we got Rudy's team over here, who J.K. Dobbins, another guy who just did not perform the same as he did the first week. Matt Stafford had a decent game, but not the best. And then probably one of the bigger headlines of this week, Christian McCaffrey goes down. He went off, but he goes down with that ankle injury. He's going to be out a few weeks. I know that's going to be a tough loss for Rudy. That was number 1 overall pick. And you never want to see number 1 overall pick go down.
Yeah, just on that, I mean, we just talked about Chris's team, Saquon. I think he was the number 2 pick. So the first pick and the number 2 pick have both went down this year. Saquon out for the year. I think Christian McCaffrey only like 2 to 4 weeks with a high ankle sprain, but who knows if the Panthers are actually going to want to play him the rest of the year just because they might want to tank for Trevor Lawrence or, there's so many questions on that. But I mean, not to like rag on Rudy or anything like that, but like just his team didn't perform that well. Jared Cook had a touchdown, but he only had like 2 catches. J.K. Dobbins only touched the ball like 5 times. Jarvis Landry only had like 4 catches. Robert Woods only had like 3 catches, but he rushed in for a touchdown. I mean, just not a lot of touches on his guys that didn't do well. So that might turn around for him. It just sucks with Christian McCaffrey going down, and Kittle went down that week before, and then Kenny Galladay hasn't even played this year. His team is looking a lot of injury prone, but I feel like a big bounce back week for him will be okay. Hopefully Christian gets back well and 100% soon. But yeah, going to my team, I mean, Tom Brady, I don't even know what to say to him. He's not my starting lineup this week. Big Ben's taking over. We'll see how Brady goes. But yeah, Alvin Kamara, number 2 running back this year, 2 touchdowns in 2 games. I mean, he's just going off. My receivers have been very subpar to just really bad with Ty, and I know Rise rubbed it in a lot that he's been a bust, and he has been a bust. I can't deny it anymore. At least for his first 2 weeks, he might turn around. But even Allen Robinson, he was my 3rd pick. Not a touchdown. I think he got single digits the first week. I'm really hoping for a big turnaround. Hopefully Mitch targets him a lot. It's just he doesn't throw it like to him all the time and just hasn't had the touchdown catches. But I mean, the biggest thing was Jonnu Smith. I wasn't watching the Titans game, but I was closely monitoring that game. And he had like a 50-yard touchdown right off the first touchdown of the game, and he just added another touchdown towards the end of the game. I don't think it mattered too much because Noah Fant had like 15 on the bench, but I was really going back and forth with Jonnu and Noah. And even the Buccaneers D and the Titans D, I started Buccaneers D and Titans D got 0. So I had 2 really good starts. Sometimes you don't get that lucky. But yeah, my team did its thing. And I know when we look at the standings, it's going to be really interesting to see my points for and my points against. Spoiler alert, it's the same. It's literally exact same number. So I thought that was pretty interesting. But yeah, Kareem Hunt on the bench went off. He's in my starting lineup this week. But yeah, my team, all around good team. I think we said this before last week that with half point PPR, you need to get over 100. If you get over 100, it was a modest week. So you want to get over that 100 that century mark. And I got 121, so I'm not too dissatisfied with my performance.
Dude, you by far I think have the worst receiving core in the league right now.
I mean, Cooper
an
hasn't done
observation.
bad.
Look at the two starters.
None of my receivers have gotten a touchdown. So A-Rob hasn't gotten a touchdown, Cooper hasn't gotten a touchdown, and Hilton, of course, hasn't gotten a touchdown. But Cooper has gotten, he got 6 catches last week, and I think 8 catches week 1, 7 catches. So, I mean, they're targeting him. Same with Allen Robinson. He's getting targeted a lot. He just isn't catching the ball because either one, Mitch Trubisky isn't throwing to him right in the hands, or just he's not – I don't think he's dropped that many. I haven't watched all the Bears game, but I don't think he's dropped too many. But, yeah, receiving core I thought was going to be my sleeper type of thing, and it just hasn't worked out.
Yeah.
But enough about my team. We'll go to the next game, which is James and Chewy. Probably the most interesting game of the week. I mean, James didn't have a great week, but Nick Chubb and Aaron Jones had the best week a duo running back could probably ever have. I mean, Nick Chubb, 25.8, and then Aaron Jones, 43.6. I don't think you're going to find your two running backs ever putting that much on a week, but just his other guys just wasn't good. Justin Tucker, did he get 16?
Yeah.
Holy crap. So the kicker did, that's even worse for James. Like, all he needed was a receiver to score. I mean, Perriman did 2.2.
A defense
Singletary,
to put up,
8.6.
a point.
Yeah, that's the Bills D versus a bad Miami. Well, I mean, Miami's actually been playing well, but, you would think bad Miami team. I feel for James. I think his team is really good. I mean, now that Sutton's done for the year and then A.J. Brown's kind of injured too, his receiver core is very shaky. But I just feel for him because he had, preseason, I thought he had a really good team. And it's just, I don't know, it's just not looking well for James this year.
Drew Brees definitely looked pretty bad in that game versus the Raiders, that's for sure. And
he
without Aaron Jones,
5 yards.
Without Aaron Jones' 43, I mean, the score is not even that high. I mean, but that 43 just put a stamp on it. It's that's a tough loss though. 127, regardless of what did it. That's a tough loss. Rashad Perriman should have went off, but I think he got hurt, right?
Yeah, because I think James just dropped him for somebody, and he would have beat. So far, he would have beat Chris. He would have beat me and Rudy, and he would have beaten. I don't know the scores of the 2 games before my game. Oh, he would have lost to Jimmy by 0.6, but he would have beat Johnny. So he would have beat so far, and then he would have beat Joey, Lubasi, and I mean he would have beat more than 50% of the team. So it's just a heartbreaking loss for James.
Yeah, hate to see that loss. But Chewy, another strong week, 132, solid score. I did pass him up for highest week score. Shout out me. But yeah, another good week for Chewy. Josh Allen has just been absolutely insane this year. Clyde didn't do as well as he did in his first game, but David Montgomery picked up a lot of the slack there with the 20 ball. He couldn't be stopped. That Giants defense didn't even know what that man was. And then Tyler Higbee was probably his MVP this week. I mean, that guy couldn't stay out of the end zone.
Was it 3 or 2?
I think he had 3.
They were all 1 yard.
3. Yeah,
1 yard, 3 yards, 6 yards, I think, were the touchdowns, to be honest.
Dude, it doesn't matter when you get in there 3 times. That 18 already, plus some catches and yards. Man, yeah, Tyler Higbee went crazy this week, and Chewy's on a roll right now. I mean, he didn't play the Toads this week. He would have lost if he played the Toads this week, so it's coming, but he's on a roll. All right, so let's get to to the worst team in the league. Who is it? It's I'm Salty. 0-2 in embarrassing fashion. Now, Lubasi and Jimmy both put up some pretty low scores last week, and we talked about both of them trying to bounce back. Jimmy bounced back. Lubasi's still – he's trying to jump. I don't know. He's just not been able to get this off the ground. He did have, in fairness, a lot of injury problems this week. Paris Camo went down in the game. Will Fuller went down early in the game. He was kind of riddled with some injuries, but – man, just a disappointing week here for the old I'm Salty squad.
Yeah, and I think the biggest disappointment so far for Lubasi, I know Will Fuller had a great game week 1, but we all know his injury problems. Like, he doesn't stay on the field. But Watson just had a really bad game, and he didn't even look that great versus the Chiefs. He scored maybe 1 or 2 garbage time touchdowns just to get, happy that they scored. But Watson in the first 3 quarters of that Chiefs game in week 1 did not look good. And I didn't watch the Baltimore game at all this week. But, I mean, just to have a 14.7, that doesn't seem like he did that great of a job this week either. So, I mean, Deshaun Watson was, I would guess, about a 5th or 6th round pick that Lubasi did and just is pretty disappointing. So I think that's kind of his biggest disappointment this year, or at least so far this year. But, yeah, you're right. Injuries really killed him this week. But then going down to Joey's team, I mean, Russell Wilson, I think for the first 2 weeks has been the MVP of the whole league. He's looked incredible so far. Dalvin Cook did his thing, even though the Vikings are probably the worst team in the NFL so far this week or this year. But, I mean, if you look, like, Todd Gurley didn't do well. Adam Thielen did. Like, yeah, that Vikings offense just didn't do well at all except Alvin. I mean, Joey didn't have that great of a week actually looking at it. I mean, Tyler Lockett did 16.2. What was his total score, Joey's? 120?
120.92. Pretty solid week.
Yes, I mean, solid week. But, like, just looking like TJ Hawkinson didn't do well, Adam Thielen, like, some of his big guys didn't really do that well. And we know Dalvin could do better than 16.1, especially if the Vikings offense is better than what they've shown so far. But, yeah, Fournette's on the bench with 25. He had like a 60 or 70-yard run kind of towards, I think, the third quarter of that game. Robbie Anderson, I don't know if he had a touchdown or not, but he looked pretty good at 13.4.
I think his
Rodgers
name's Robbie, dude.
What did I say?
Roby.
Oh. I always called him Roby. I don't know why.
Yeah, I think that's Rob.
Okay, so Robbie Anderson did well.
But he's been going off this year, too. I think he did pretty well last week. And I don't know
if you guys remember the
22.
The bus that – so I asked the question to each of you guys, or at least posted on Facebook, who you think is like your biggest bust, not bust, but like who you're worried about the most. I think Jimmy said DJ Moore, or whoever has DJ Moore said DJ Moore. I think it's Jimmy. And I think without Christian McCaffrey, I think DJ Moore and then Robbie Anderson kind of get a lot of looks now while Christian's gone. So it's going to be interesting to see what the Panthers offense looks like next week without McCaffrey. Yeah, Joey had a great week. He had, I think, one of the highest scores last week too. So Joey's team is looking pretty darn good.
I think maybe one of his problems is he's just got almost too many people from the NFC North. That makes up about 80% of his team. So maybe needs to venture out a little on the divisions here.
He does got a lot from that division. All right, so then we'll go to the next game, which is the last game, and it's Matt and Dom. I don't know, you can go correct me if I'm wrong. I think Dom actually has the highest score between the 2 weeks.
Yes,
or is it
I
you,
think
right?
That's right.
So Dom's team has been looking – yeah, we'll look at it pretty soon. But Dom's team has been the best so far. And it's a lot of thanks to the top 3 in his team right there. Matt Ryan's looked great this year, even though the Falcons just lost in awful fashion. But Zeke has been on point. Chris Carson, probably another touchdown in there, but he had 2 touchdowns week 1. And then Scary Terry, what a game from him. Travis Kelce had a touchdown. Colts D was a great play versus the Vikings. I mean, Dom has told me time and time again, every time every time we talk, he's like, "Oh, I've never won anything out of the 10 years that this league's been doing it. I've never won. I think I got second once. I'm just throwing money away." And this year, Dom is looking very scary in
He's
those
hungry.
playoffs. Like, he's got a great team, and I think I told you guys Zeke was probably the one guy I really wanted this year. I knew you had to have like a top 3 pick for him. He was the 3rd pick, and he's healthy, so that's great. But Kamara hasn't done me bad anyway. I like Kamara, but Zeke was my preseason go-to guy, and he's done his thing. And yeah, Dom's team is looking very scary.
Chris Carson's a solid pick. I was really hoping to get Chris this year, but Dom got him, and it's going to be hard to get him off him now. But looking over here at Matt's team, Matt, 106, not terrible. It's like we said throughout the whole thing, it's a modest week. You get over the triple digits, it's still a tough one to lose. But Dom putting up a blowout score, almost as high as mine, but not quite. But yeah, Patrick Mahomes kind of carried the team. And Mike Gesicki had a great week. Yeah. I said something when Matt drafted him that was a pretty good pick. I thought Mike Gesicki was going to have a pretty good year this year. He didn't do super great in week 1, but he definitely went off in week 2 here. And Matt's vulture play here, Josh Kelly trying to overtake my boy Austin Eckler's job. First of all, it's not going to happen, but he did have a pretty good week with a 12.3.
It's a good week.
Yeah, not bad. Keenan Allen had a pretty modest week, and CeeDee Lamb actually came out this week too.
Yeah, something for Matt's team. I know you're not going to like this, but CeeDee Lamb got a lot more looks than Gallup for one, and even Cooper probably. But CeeDee Lamb was very heavy targeted in that game. I don't know if you want to click on his name, how many catches he had, but Gallup had 2, and then Cooper had 6.
9
CD
targets,
had 6.
6
Oh,
catches.
9. Okay, 9 targets, 6 catches. So I know Cooper had 6 catches, and I know Gallup had 2. So that's a little scary for both of us, honestly. That if CeeDee Lamb starts clowning, like it's going to take catches and receptions and looks away from our 2 guys that we spent with high draft picks. I know I spent a high draft pick on Cooper. I don't know where we got Gallup, but CeeDee Lamb looked really, really good in that game.
He did look good. I'm not worried at all. I know what everybody's saying about Gallup, but it's just the rumors aren't true. See, what had happened is Gallup saw that CD didn't get that much action game 1. He said, "Hey, give him some of mine." He's a humble guy. He's a nice guy. He let him get some of his targets that game. But moving forward, CD's got his game under his belt now. It's all Gallup all the way. Not even a little bit worried.
Really quick with Matt, another first-round pick was down with Michael Thomas. So that's right now 3 first-round picks, if I'm not forgetting anybody that's injured. So, that's heartbreaking just to lose the 6th pick, I think Michael Thomas was, or 7th pick, something like that. So it's really hard to do anything without a first-round pick, 6th overall. So, and Adams didn't have a great game.
Devontae Adams, not too far after that.
And this 12th pick probably.
19th overall.
19th.
But yeah, 2 big picks. That's his first 2 picks.
Adams isn't hurt. Adams I think is questionable now, but I don't know if he got hurt during this game or not. But yeah, 5.1 is not a great. After what did Adams get last week? 33 or something like that. So yeah. Adams probably got hurt during the game, which I think Matt's been the worst with the injury bug. So yeah. Hopefully they get healthy though.
That injury bug's been going around. It's hitting a lot of people, and it's hitting people hard. I know that a lot of people have some tough losses, especially this week. But let's go take a look at the standings. It's been 2 weeks. Let's see what we're looking at here. We got a lot of 1-1s. We've got a few 2-0s and a few 0-2s. Let's go see who's got the point lead right now. It is Team Dom. 271 overall. Pretty solid start to the season. Lubasi down there at 185. We had to take a peek at that. But yeah, this is it. The season is definitely underway. Divisions are looking pretty tight right now. It's definitely nobody's game.
Yeah, so just from what I said earlier in the podcast, if you look at my points for, points against, I have 241.54 both columns, which is pretty crazy that I'm 1-1 in both columns as well. So I thought that was kind of funny. But yeah, I agree. It's only 2 games, so the standings isn't going to be too crazy or too lopsided. But if you look at the West, you got all 2-0s and all 1-1s. And if you look at the East, you got all 1-1s and 0-2. So I know I
Yeah.
posted that East versus West, and we all thought East was the best. But the West so far has taken over with the 3-2-0s. And I looked, I think a couple days ago, no 2-0 teams play each other. So Dom doesn't play Chewy or Joey, and like vice versa on all those 3. So we could see 3-0 teams if they all 3 win. So I thought that was interesting. I was hoping one of the 2-0 teams played each other, but that's not the case this week.
I think I actually have Dom this week.
You
So
do have
I
Dom.
think I'm
Yeah.
playing the hottest team in the league. So I'll be looking
Yep.
to help everybody out and get him that first one in the L column.
Yeah, so I think that pretty much does it for the podcast. Like I said, like I always say, Thursday night game is tomorrow, so we all want the picks for each for the mini game. I think everyone did pretty well last week except 1 or 2 people, but the 1 or 2 people actually had some excuses. Just don't forget that even if you have prior engagements, try to do that beforehand, just so I'm not asking and I'm not interrupting anything that you might be doing. But yeah, just give me the picks for the mini game, and I think I'll probably keep texting everybody. But like I said, week 4 or 5, that's when I'll expect you guys to text me.
Yep. Another week in the books. Looking forward to week 3. I'm sure everybody is. This has been the week 2 recap. Be sure to comment, like, and subscribe. Catch you guys next time.
Peace.